Hi, I'm Kurt Olson. I'm an attorney at the Northville firm of Fausone and Grysko. I do a lot of work in the guardianship and conservatorship area, and in my many years of experience, I've heard of the term aid and attendance, but I really didn't know what it was. So I'm here today with Brigadier General Ann Fausone, who is associated with Legal Help for Veterans, to discuss aid and attendance and to give us as attorneys and other people watching this an idea of what aid and attendance is about and who might qualify for it. So Carol Ann, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi. Thank you, Kurt, for doing this. I think not only attorneys, but I get a lot of calls from guardians and family members who are trying to navigate the system and find out where they should place their loved ones.
That's great. Now let's briefly discuss with me what aid and attendance is.
Aid and attendance is a pension which provides for veterans and their surviving spouses what is required to take care of them for the attendance of what I would call personal needs. They cannot feed themselves, cannot bathe themselves, the dressings, some of those things that we naturally do that the veteran or the spouse needs help with. As I said, assisting with walking, the basic things that we take for granted daily in our administration. The big one too is incontinence care, bladder control. When you're going to take a shower, you need somebody to help you. So, there's an exhaustive list, as you said. It's in the ebook. I believe it's on the screen, and it will give you all an idea of what we call criteria to determine if you need aid and attendance. And what goes along with this is your physician will need to fill out the form 2680 to say, yes, Carol Ann or Kurt, your family member needs this care, and this benefit should be approved.
I see. So is this benefit available to all veterans and their spouses, or are there qualifications?
Well, this benefit does have qualifications. Aid and attendance is a income benefit, and sometimes you feel bad that somebody really gets into this, and that's why in talking about this, I talk about the income benefit. And what I mean by that is your assets, your total assets should be lower, complete household, less than $159,000. You don't have to count your house unless you sell it. But if you get aid and attendance and you sell your house for $200,000, that's going to boot you from the program. So, I would advise family to consider that, consult with you, and determine when you're going to sell, like a house or a car. You're allowed that to begin with. But once you sell it, it becomes an asset.
Very similar to Medicaid qualification.
Yes.
So Medicaid will cover nursing home costs and the skilled nursing. Is that the same with aid and attendance? Does that cover those?
It does cover it once you become 100%. Anywhere between 70 and 100% with a disability, you can do that. But the big difference, Kurt, and I know you know this, the big difference is with Medicaid, you are giving up those possessions that you have to a certain amount that, you're literally signing, all your belongings over except for a certain amount. And they will pay. The difference also with aid and attendance is it doesn't pay for rent. So let's say you go into a facility and the rent is $2,500. it's not, aid and attendance is going to take care of that. And that's where I need to explain that to a lot of people up front. But what aid and attendance covers are those needs for health care. You need a wheelchair, you need dentures, you need somebody to take care of you from that exhaustive list once you get approved. But it's the medical care, not the rent, where Medicaid will pay for the rent.
And as I understand it, another big difference is aid and attendance will provide these benefits whether I'm in skilled nursing care or not. So I could go to an assisted living and it might not cover my room and board, so to speak, but it would cover what they call the cafeteria plans of treatment and helping me go to the bathroom and those kinds of things.
So you use the word might. Aid and attendance will not cover rent, but will take care of the next step when you need health care, an aide to come into your room, to walk you, help you to get to the dining hall.
Is that the case even if I'm living at home?
Yes, you could get aid and attendance if you're living at home. And matter of fact, we go into another program called caregivers, because if applied and accepted, let's say the wife, the husband, if you're caring for your spouse, a child, you could get approved for being a health caregiver in your own home.
So can a veteran collect Medicaid as well as aid and attendance?
No, and that's hard for them to realize. And the amount of time, Kurt, that it takes for aid and attendance, I'm not saying it's as easy as Medicaid.
Can I collect Medicaid and then go off Medicaid to collect aid and attendance when it comes forth?
Well, that's a possibility, but it takes so long to get aid and attendance. I think they'll probably say, well, you already got Medicaid, so why are you going after aid and attendance?
I see.
If you understand that. Mm-hmm. So if when you're counseling somebody or you're in a session with them, I would point this out, that once they make a decision to go down one road, it's really hard to turn around.
Now, you mentioned that this is a program for veterans and their spouses. Is there any qualification, like do I have all veterans qualified for this?
No, all veterans do not qualify. What they look at is, we like the veterans, as we said, and it's called non-pension aid and attendance, to be serving in one of the periods of war, active duty, boots on the ground. And so if they're entitled to that, but remember, that income level is very critical. So you need an honorable discharge, and then the veteran or the spouse needs medical assistance. It's not that you're running out of money, because aid and attendance doesn't take care of rent.
It sounds like a complicated process. So how do I advise my clients, or how does a guardian fill out these forms to get qualified? I assume this is run by the Veterans Administration?
Sure, it is, or a local veteran service officer, or I could help guide you. But I would encourage them to go online, www.Legal Help for Veterans, and pull down one of the ebooks. We have over 30 ebooks out there. They are free. And this is titled Aid and Attendance. It walks you through, Kurt, as we were talking, all of the different phases. It will give you who's eligible. It will give you who's eligible. It will tell you, once again, those activities. It will address the periods of war. It will walk through some of those targets. You know, another big issue, and I don't know if Medicaid has this also, is there a look back? So as of October 18th of 2018, you really needed to look at those assets and putting them in an irrevocable trust. Before then, it will be okay. But now you can't just give a gift to your kids and say, okay, I'm sitting at 200,000. And so I'm going to gift my children or somebody 50,000 of that so I could get under that threshold. That is not encouraged or allowed, because you can't just move your funding. But what you could do is what we call spin down. You could file an intent to get aid and attendance and bring that number down. If your loved one is in a nursing home, we know the cost. So when the costs get below 159, then we could send the application in.
And you mentioned a look back. There's no look back with aid and attendance, or is there?
Oh yeah, there is a 3-year look back. As of October of 2018, they will look and see what you've put in a trust, if you've sold the home. They will look at your income level and pull everything together for the household if the veteran and the spouse is living. Now, if the veteran dies, obviously, it's just the spouse, however, or the widow, but they will look at if she has pension, Social Security. They will pull all of that together, and that counts as assets.
Now, I think really just one final question I have of you is, this whole process sounds like there's a lot of forms and a lot of
Yes.
calculations. How much does it cost to have someone prepare those for you, if I'm
Well, here's the irony, and I get many calls from attorneys that say, I've done financial planning and now call Carol Ann for this. The reason they do that is you should not, by law, charge for aid and attendance. And it does take a lot of time to pull these together. I have spent upwards of 40 hours on one, helping them, guiding the family. I can't collect bills, Kurt. I don't know what you've spent. I'm not a wizard, but it does take a lot of time. So that's why I put the ebook together. I tell you what forms you should do, how to fill them out, and there's a number there to call the VA. But if you know somebody locally that could help you, like I could train you how to do this. And so I'm always out there for, assisting, consulting, but should be no charge.
Well, thank you. I have no further questions of you, Carol Ann. Is there anything else you would like to tell our listeners?
Well, I would like to say, honestly, Kurt, I think this is a noble noble piece of advice that you're doing, putting this podcast together, because the VA is not easy to navigate. And this aid and attendance, there are a lot of questions. I think you addressed a lot of them today. But there's always more room to learn. So I really want to commend you for offering to do this as you meet with your clients on guardianship, estates, wills. So thank you.
Thank you for your time and all the information you've given us.